We transformed this overgrown, filthy parking lot into a clean, welcoming base camp for people to come and enjoy the stunning nature around here. We actually started making a little bit of cash. Could it be possible for Sanso Tōda to actually be profitable immediately after we bought the property? That's something I didn't think could happen, and yet, well, stay tuned until the end of the video to see how it went. Hello there. My name is Roy, and this is the Sanso Tōda channel, where we're transforming a 230-year-old Ryokan in the mountains of Fukuoka, Japan, into a world-class retreat center to hold transformational wellness retreats. Before we dive into this episode, I have to say thank you so much. Thank you for watching and liking these videos. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. And thank you for your amazing comments that have been so uplifting and motivating. Some of you even helped me improve my Japanese. Ryokan.
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 Yeah. Nice.
That was okay?
Yeah.
I appreciate it so much, and let's keep it rolling. Our very first order of business was the Jichinsai, or groundbreaking ceremony, to honor the land and ask for spiritual protection. This is tradition before starting major renovations or new construction. It's a Shinto ritual to purify the land, invite the local kami, spirits, and pray for safety and harmony as the work begins. The Shinto priest, called a kannushi, set up a small altar at the entrance facing north. On it were the offerings: sake, salt, rice, seasonal fruits and vegetables, a fish, and dried ika to honor the kami. We gave him a bottle of sake for use in the ceremony, along with a formal envelope containing cash as a sign of gratitude. The entire ceremony was very slow and deliberate. Watching the priest pay attention to his every movement called me into being more present. He prayed for protection, safety, and a harmonious relationship with the spirits of this land. Then together we walked around the entire property, both inside and out. Between the land and the three buildings, we must have stopped in more than 30 places to scatter these small paper gohei in a left, right, left pattern. There was one moment that really surprised me. When the priest called out to awaken the kami, there was a clear energetic shift in the space. There was this clearing, And then an even deeper sense of peace settled over Sanso Tōda and over me. The kannushi said it was okay to share these clips as long as it was filmed from behind him. So I invite you to clear your thoughts, take a deep breath, and see how listening to this sound is for you. The very same day the ceremony was complete, I got started. The first thing we needed was a clean, dry place to store tools. So we chose the little room right by the front door. Just to be clear, this renovation is not a DIY project. I'm going to be getting help from a lot of people, including professional contractors. However, there are a few things I definitely want to do myself, especially in these first stages. I already had most of the tools I needed. If you saw the first video, you already know that there's quite a lot of work to get done here. So when it came to working on Sanso Tōda, I just had to pick somewhere to start and get working. One thing I knew was that summer is coming, and we have the best parking lot for access to the gorge and the surrounding nature. So the place to start was the parking lot. From the very start, I had the help of two good people. Josh, a talented photographer and musician who lives nearby in Itoshima. As you can see, Josh is an awesome guy and a great photographer. So just in case you're in Japan looking for a photographer, I'll put Josh's info in the video description. I also had the help of Tom, an expat from England here in Fukuoka. He's a bit camera shy, so no close-ups for Tom. Believe it or not, I met them by posting in the Fukuoka subreddit a few weeks before buying the property. They both replied right away and I had a good feeling, so I deleted the post just a few hours after posting it. They turned out to be the perfect partners for this phase. Hardworking, positive, and totally trustworthy. Tom almost wasn't part of this project for very long. On his first scheduled day, we had arranged for me to pick him up at a gas station near Noka Station on my way to the property. I had emailed Tom on the previous morning to confirm, but never got a reply. When I arrived at the gas station, Tom wasn't there. I messaged him a couple of times. No response. After about 15 minutes, I assumed he had changed his mind and ghosted me. So I drove on, figuring that was the end of that. I got to the property and just started working on my own. This was before we had internet set up, and my phone barely gets a signal out there. About an hour later, suddenly I see someone walking across the bridge, and there's Tom in his Metallica shirt. He explained that there had been an issue with his email over the weekend, so he hadn't seen my messages. He told me he really wanted to work on the project, so he had taken a cab from the station to get there. That really meant something to me. Tom was earnest, and he showed up. With his background working in restaurants in London before moving to Japan, Tom actually knew quite a lot about cleaning and maintaining some of the kitchen equipment we'd decided to keep. Tom turned out to be a great person to work with, so giving him a second chance was definitely the right decision. Let me say it again. I found Tom and Josh on Reddit. So if you didn't believe in miracles before, let this be your sign that anything is possible. Around the time we closed on the property, my wife Akiko and I took a day trip to Akizuki, a beautiful little town a little more than an hour drive from Fukuoka. Our good friend had introduced us to Hana and Hector of Aki Architects. They specialize in remodeling kominka, old wooden houses just like Sanso Tōda. Hana and Hector also run their own Airbnb business, renting out the kominka they've remodeled in Akizuki. So they already know about getting a Ryokan license and how to design Sanso Tōda to preserve the traditional structure and charm, while modernizing it enough to be absolutely outstanding for our future guests. While touring some of Hana and Hector's impressive past renovation projects, I noticed something interesting. Instead of one of the usual coin parking setups we see in most of Japan, many parking lots in Akizuki have nothing but a little honor box. No attendant, no gate, none of those little steel traps under your car. Just a post and a box with a price and a metal slot. You park, drop in your coins, and go. The previous owner had hired an arabaito, a part-time employee, to sit at this table at all hours of the day, every day, watching for cars pulling in and going out to collect 500 yen from each car. 500 yen is about $3 US. I felt that old system didn't align with the vision for Sanso Tōda, so I needed to come up with some new way to handle the parking lot. I loved the honor box idea. They're simple, respectful, and quietly effective. So I decided to try an experiment to see if an honor box, combined with a couple of cloud-connected cameras, would work for our parking lot during the first year of renovations. I printed out a simple parking sign and laminated it at Kinko's, and then I built a frame for it. With Tom's help, we mounted it to a steel pole I had planted into the asphalt. I bolted on the honor box and installed security cameras with motion alerts so I could track how it was going. That night, we left the honor box out for the first time. And the next morning, Sanso Tōda's very first income. I still keep that first coin in the entrance of my home, a symbol of the abundance and the energy beginning to flow with this project. If I was going to collect money for parking, I wanted everyone there to have a great experience, to feel welcomed, to notice that the lot and the land was being cared for. I also wanted the local community to see us as owners who would take responsibility for the property, maintain the trails, take care of the river, and be leaders in revitalizing this community. There was a lot to do to get there, but my top priority was to get rid of any stagnant water on the property, including this former koi tank, which was now functioning as a mosquito breeding ground. Throughout this whole process, I couldn't go very long without coming across a stunning plant or critter, including this Japanese tree frog. With the water pump quietly doing its job, I went on to work on some other areas of the property. There aren't a lot of working clothes in my size in Japan, so I was so lucky to find these orange overalls. Don't they look great? The pump went as far as it can go, so it was time for me to finish the job. This was one of many times having Tom around was a lifesaver. Instead of having to crawl in and out of the hole every time I needed to dump a bucket, Tom would just dump them for me and bring me back an empty one. Naturally, a lot of people passing by to go on the hike took interest in what we were doing. I'm by no means perfect at this, but one practice I've committed to for years now, and that's made a huge difference in my life, is giving my full attention and great energy to every person I come into contact with. It doesn't matter what my mood is, or what the situation is, or even who the person is. There's a Japanese expression that captures this beautifully. Ichigo, ichie. It literally means one time, one meeting. It means that every encounter is a once-in-a-lifetime moment, and to treat each exchange with care, no matter how small it may seem. Something about having the koi tank cleaned out and dry felt so satisfying. I replaced the steel cover and wrapped it in a tarp so water wouldn't get in again. That evening, it was time to check the honor box. I wasn't sure it would even work at all, so I was surprised and grateful with every coin in there. The first thing most people notice when they come to Sanso Tōda is this iconic lantern. Unfortunately, it was completely rotten and ready to fall over, so we had to let it go. At the base of the lantern were these beautiful natural stones. I'll put them away for now and see if I can use them for something later. Around the parking lot, there were these chain lantern lights. Most of the round yellow lanterns were either broken or missing. I really like these, so it wasn't such an easy decision. But in the end, I decided to get rid of them rather than repair them. I want to design a lighting system more aligned with the intention and core values of this project. If I want the parking lot to look clean and well taken care of this summer, these just have to go. It's amazing how many small jobs like this there are here. These tiny tasks that seem insignificant on their own, but each one adds up, and bit by bit, the place keeps looking better and better. I traced the light's electric wire back to its source and started to disconnect it. My father was a builder, so I spent much of my childhood and teenage years on construction sites, doing odd jobs and soaking up everything I could. Over time, I picked up just enough to feel confident handling small projects like this, and hopefully without electrocuting myself. Sitting here now, watching these videos, recording voiceovers, and thinking back on the whole process of cleaning up the parking lot, this is the job that stands out most. It was the most time-consuming, the most physically demanding, and surprisingly, the most rewarding task: cleaning the perimeter of the lot. Over decades of neglect, nearly a meter of compacted dirt and rocks had built up all around the lot. Thick roots then took hold, turning it into something more like a wild embankment than a border. There was no shortcut to this. A pressure cleaner didn't do anything. The only way to bring it back was to hack, often inch by inch, using a shovel or whatever sharp tool was available. This was slow, grinding work. What we started to uncover was fantastic. At first, this was all completely hidden, but as we kept grinding away, we realized the entire parking lot was bordered by these beautiful natural stones. One by one, the stones emerged from beneath the dirt and roots. Yes, this was grinding work, and it went on around the perimeter of the whole lot, but I couldn't have been happier or more satisfied with the results. The camera has been on me a lot more than Josh and Tom, but when it came to this job, Josh was the real hero. After just a few days working with him, it was clear. Josh is just a genuinely good person. I could trust him, and I could count on him. So I gave him a key and told him that even on days when I had to be off-site, he was welcome to come and work on his own schedule. All I asked was that he take before and after photos of whatever he worked on and, if possible, shoot a time-lapse for the YouTube channel. There's just no way we could have gotten the parking lot ready in time for summer without Josh.
Looking good, Josh.
Thanks. The time lapse are fun.
Hey Josh, you want to say anything to the YouTube channel?
Stay tuned. It's going to look a whole lot better.
Meanwhile, Tom took on the huge job of the backyard, making it look immaculate. This looks just like another tangled mess of plants, right? Well, another huge contribution by Josh, and also another discovery of hidden treasure, was trimming back this wisteria and finding beautiful stone steps between the two parking lots, covered by an archway of purple wisteria flowers. If you've spent enough time in Japan, you probably understand how important a clean Genkan is. That's the entry area of homes and some businesses where you take off your shoes before coming inside. To many Japanese people, including my wife, the Genkan means much more than that. Rooted in both Shinto and Buddhist traditions, the Genkan is considered a sacred space. Cleaning it is an act of self-purification and something that invites good energy into the home. A clean Genkan reflects clarity, intention, and protection at the physical, mental, and spiritual levels. I just had a strong feeling early on that having a clean Genkan was really important. So very early on, I set aside a day to clean the two main entrances. I love how it feels to walk into a space that's really clean and free from clutter. That makes my mind even clearer. I was also really inspired by something I had read about Shohei Ohtani. In middle school, he wrote a goal-setting chart outlining his path to become a pro baseball player. One thing he knew he would need on that path is luck, and he set out to create his own good luck through preparation, including keeping his bag and his locker immaculately organized, even during the busy season. That story stuck with me. It probably wouldn't make me into a global baseball sensation, but keeping my entrances clean and free from clutter would probably make a difference with this project. If nothing else, I would get to have a clear mind every time I entered the space. Also, you never know who might stop by. I wanted anyone who came inside to feel a sense of clarity and presence the moment they stepped onto the property. As a matter of fact, after cleaning the Genkan, I did have many interesting people come, including a CEO of a major local company, the lead anchor of the local evening news, and many others. Because these entrances were clean, I was way more confident inviting them inside and sharing about the project with them. Now, I know there are risks to using a pressure cleaner near wood floors and framing, but for this first deep clean, I decided that was worth the risk. I just worked carefully and kept the wood as dry as I could. Another internationally famous Japanese person who really inspires me is Marie Kondo. She's known for her books and TV shows about tidying up and decluttering, and her famous method is simple but powerful. Hold an item, focus your attention on it, and ask yourself, does this spark joy? If not, thank it and let it go. The first time I saw that method on one of her TV shows and actually tried it myself, it was amazing. I was cleaning out my closet and I didn't want to let go of this old t-shirt, even though it definitely did not spark joy anymore. I kept thinking, what if I want to wear this old t-shirt one day and it's not there anymore? But I was committed to try her technique out fully, so I let it go, and it was actually liberating. That day, Marie Kondo became one of my spiritual teachers. Taking the time to clean and declutter shifts everything in my life in a positive direction. My focus sharpens, my mood lifts, my connection deepens. So whenever I'm feeling low energy or disconnected, one of the first things I check out is, what's going on in my physical spaces? How's my bedroom? What kind of papers are on my desk? How about my toilets and sinks? Could my car use a cleaning? And yes, perhaps most important of all, how clean is my Genkan? At the end of the day, I took a little bit of time to clean the outside of the entrance as well, so it's completely ready for any guests who show up. Before investing a lot of time and money into installing a new water system, I wanted to first make sure the water from our main well was great drinking quality. So I went to the local health department office and they gave me a set of bottles to collect water samples. I chose the faucet from where I'd draw the water and let it run for about 2 hours to clear the lines. Then I filled the bottles, carefully following their instructions. The health department has a strict rule. Water samples have to be taken in the morning and brought back to the office by noon on the same day, and that can only be done on Mondays or Wednesdays. The test cost about 7,800 yen, roughly $50, and it took a week to get the results.
じゃあこれが領収書ですね。
In the meantime, the weather was getting warmer, and more people were coming by. The biggest eyesore of the parking lot, and probably the whole property, was definitely the pump and tank system for the well water. This area around the tanks was so overgrown and cluttered, I couldn't even see where all the pipes and wires were going. So cleaning this space had two purposes. First, to make the parking lot look more presentable for the summer season. And second, to figure out how this water system actually works, and whether any of it is salvageable when we eventually upgrade. In the background there, you can see Tom next to a fire. We had a literal mountain of yard waste. At first, we were putting it all into burnable trash bags. I had seen a lot of people in the area burning their yard waste, so on this day, I decided to try it too. We took an old steel shelf from the kitchen and made an improvised burning box. The well water system has two pumps. This one here sends water from the tanks to the buildings. And that rusty pipe on the right leads to another pump underground, which pulls water up from the well into the tanks. These electric breakers looked okay, surprisingly. I was happy to see someone had put a garbage bag over them to keep things dry. It's probably not up to code. These vines grow insanely fast, but luckily, they're also pretty easy to clear. These ones just peeled off like rolling up a carpet. I tried to be careful sweeping the dirt off the top of the tank, but I still managed to fling some onto Tom while he was working behind there. Sorry, Tom. This was another of these hack away all day kind of jobs. The hardest part, by far, was cleaning the area between the tanks. It was really tight in there, full of so many kinds of pipes, and I also had to be really careful with the electric wiring. To make things even more confusing, there was also an old natural gas line back there, no longer in use. Off to the right of the tanks, there was a big hill of weeds blocking 2 parking spots. Under those weeds, it turned out to be a pile of rocks and trash that had been filled with dirt, roots, and weeds over the years. It was a mess, total chaos. Tom tackled that mess while I worked on the tanks, and he did great. Of course, my goal was to remove as many vines as possible by the root, but the first step had to be just clearing away enough space to even see where the roots are in the first place. There were plenty of critters who made their home around the dirty tanks. Some of them friendly, and some of them maybe not so much. Here you can see Tom's progress with the stone pile, and I'm using what I like to call the blow dryer to clear out leaves and dust before the rain hits. Oh hey, here's the rain now. As we were going, we uncovered something pretty cool. You can see the beautiful old rock wall behind the tanks. I wonder if we can eventually move the tanks and restore the wall. That would give the parking lot even more beauty and a classic Japanese feel. In just one day, we managed to clear enough to see the whole system properly. And the parking lot looked so much better as well. I worked so hard today. That was crazy. Let's have a rest, come back tomorrow. You might remember from episode 1 of this series, the first time I came to this property. That day, I promised myself that if I ever got to own this property, I would take care of the trails, river, and surrounding nature. Josh was a huge help here, cleaning up this area of the trail in front of our property. It has this cool stone that could serve as a resting bench if we were just cleaned up a little bit. So much of this initial work was just clearing away piles and piles of dirt that had accumulated over the years. All of this trash was next to the river and in the forest around the trails. Some of it looks decades old. Now we were getting close to the end game of having a parking lot that was beautiful and we could be really proud of. It was starting to get really hot, but I had to wear these layers to protect myself from the sun and from insects while hacking away at those weeds. There's Josh, helping clean up the mess I made. Things were really starting to take shape. The parking lot was beginning to look, dare I say it, cared for. It is a huge lot, and we still had sections like this one that were waiting for their turn. This particular spot was pretty important because it made one of our parking spaces hard to access, and it shrunk the turning radius for cars using this exit. These Ajisai, hydrangeas, are beautiful, but totally out of control. So with a little feeling of regret, I had to trim them back. By this point, I could feel that we were getting close to the finish line, and I was starting to feel real pride in what we'd done. I knew that most visitors wouldn't notice these details, but my hope was that, in some way, they would feel it. A sense of clarity, comfort, and welcome that comes from stepping into a space that's been really cared for. Then came the rainy season. Some days, the rain was so intense we couldn't work outside at all. The river was absolutely raging. And right in the middle of the storm, of course, a news crew showed up. Luckily, we had a clean Genkan to welcome them. If you're curious, you can watch the full newscast with my commentary in another video I'll link on the ending screen of this one. You can see that I pressure washed just a couple of panels of the water tank. I wanted to see how it looked when it was clean, so I could decide whether it was worth keeping. I also cleared away all the leaves, rocks, and dirt to prepare the asphalt for one final deep clean. Tom and I took turns with the pressure cleaner. We did at least 2 passes on every surface, sometimes 3 or 4, to get it to the standard we had in mind. So it was a big parking lot, and it took about a week just to pressure clean. Here's Tom doing the second pass on the main lot. The sun was finally out that day. This pressure cleaner has been a total beast, and it's already more than paid for itself. There are a few more things around the lot that just needed to go, like this old steel sign. I have no idea what it used to say, and it doesn't spark joy, so it just had to go. Almost as soon as I turned on the cutter, I noticed some hikers coming down the hill, so as a courtesy, I turned it off so it wouldn't be too noisy for them.
おはようございます。
昨日テレビ見ましたよ。
あ、本当？ありがとうございます。
頑張って。
ありがとうございます。
支援になりますね。
どんどん頑張ります。
The newscast had a way bigger impact than I thought it would. At the time I'm recording this, more than 40 people have come to talk to me and let me know they recognize me from the program. It's pretty unusual for a Japanese person to go up to a stranger and just start talking. But I can tell that these people feel like they already know me. Having that sign out of the way opened up the space even more. So, how did we do? The parking lot looks pretty incredible, right? As the weather was getting warmer in June, more and more people started showing up. And once July hit, it was like someone flipped a switch, and the place was packed every day. On an average weekday, around 25 cars park here. On Saturdays, it's closer to 50. And on Sundays and holidays, it's insane. More than 100 cars per day. That is so far beyond what I expected. Most people who come here have no idea what went into making this space what it is. But Josh, Tom, and I do. And now, so do you. It feels amazing to see the fruits of our work. And I like to think that everything we did, the ceremony, the scrubbing, the hacking away at roots, all make a difference. Perhaps the experience of someone who worked hard at their job all week and is getting to spend a precious day with their family, or someone getting a much-needed moment of peace in nature, is made just a bit better because of what we did here. And as for the financial side of this, you can do the math. If this pace holds through August, then the total amount dropped into the honor box from July and August alone will be enough to cover the entire year's expenses: property tax, insurance, electricity, internet, and still have plenty left over. So, Sanso Tōda is profitable. And we haven't even started renovations yet. Even better than the financial side. Let me share something that happened in the days before I started making this video. I was at the property working, and I see in the parking lot this older gentleman leaning against his car. He must have been around 70 years old. And in Japan, older men have this reputation for being a bit grouchy and difficult to deal with. And this guy definitely looked the part. He was like squinting, he had a scowl, he had his arms crossed. But as I walked by him, I gave him a warm "Ohayo gozaimasu," and he started asking me a few questions about the property. So I just stayed with him for a while. I answered all of his questions with a smile. And then he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a 500 yen coin. And he looks me in the eye and he says, "I'm so grateful for this parking lot. Because this is here, I didn't have to walk up the hill in the heat with my wife, and we can just come here and enjoy a cool day in the gorge together." And getting that from that person was just so satisfying for me. Honestly, I did not expect to hear that from someone who people might consider the least likely person to say that kind of thing. I felt like he completely understood the intention behind what we were doing there. So in this video, you've seen how we've turned an overgrown, neglected parking lot into a clean, welcoming gateway to Nogouchi Gorge, the only place in Fukuoka prefecture that stays magically cool all summer. This same parking lot will be the gateway to something even more magical: the retreats we'll be holding here at Sanso Tōda, which are going to open up whole new states of awareness and new possibilities in so many people's lives. When that day comes, I hope you'll give yourself the gift of coming to experience a retreat here for yourself. In the next video, I'll show you how this parking lot became more than just a gateway. It became a destination in itself, full of smiles, memories, and magic, especially for the kids. Thank you so much for watching this video until the very end. If you haven't had a chance to yet, please click like on the video and subscribe to the channel. That will help so much. And I wish you the very best in fulfilling the goals and dreams that are most important to you, in creating a life you love, and in living passionately. Take care, and I'll see you again in episode 3.